If they want me to validate them, I am not their coach. What I want to validate to people is that they are humans with real feelings, and there's a place for empathy.
Sometimes we will upset a client and there's nothing that can't be fixed. When I think about trauma clients, when your client feels safe, that's where they have the most progress. When they are in the part of their nervous system that's shutting down and freezing, it's not a bad thing. They're just not going to make as much progress in the session. And so with experience, you get better at just intuitively knowing what's happening and finding ways to bring them back to you and, you know, all that.
I think one of the greatest things you bring to the table as a coach is your own unflappability, if that's even a word. I've been a shrink for 30 years. You can't shock me. I mean, I've heard some of the darndest crap you can imagine. I've seen murder, incest, abuse, just up to here. And I believe, and I hope you get this from me, that circumstances are neutral. And that's not to say that they are easy or painless, because sometimes they're very painful and difficult. There's a tradition in therapy especially, this is not so much in coaching, but there's a tradition in therapy that's been labeled validation. Think about what that means. It's kind of like saying, you're right. This was terrible. It's only terrible compared to something better. Because if you compare it to something worse, I'll take this. Right? And that can seem kind of cold and heartless. That's why the relationship is important. I try to use humor when I can to lighten things up. I tend to be playful. And I do that intentionally because, first of all, that's who I am. And there were times when I tried to be very serious and professional, and I'm like, that's boring. Now, have clients fired me? Yeah. I have been fired for being insensitive or glib or I don't get it. I don't truly understand. I mean, people tell me this. And I'm like, okay, you're not my client. And that's not the worst story I've ever heard. So if they want me to validate them,
Exactly.
I am not their coach. What I want to validate to people is that they are humans with real feelings, and there's a place for empathy. And you will, especially if it's a new client, you will see me spending time showing empathy. I am so sorry that happened to you. And I feel that.
The thing is if there's a client that brings you something that you don't feel qualified to handle, I just say to them, you know, I feel like this is above my pay raise. And I've done that before. But I'm just saying, like...
Yeah, I think we'll have more conversations about what you're actually qualified to do.
Yeah, would love that.
Because I think we buy into some of the cultural norms or the societal...
We had a good talk about this.
Conversations, and trauma is one of those. Who experiences trauma?
All of us.
Everyone. So think about it. That means it's not a special case. And we get into conversations sometimes about, well, your trauma is here, but my trauma...
Big T, little t. I hate that phrase in the trauma community. I don't like it. That's why I don't teach it.
Reminds me of a book. Big T, little t. What begins with T? 10 tired turtles on a tuttle tree.
Here we go.
Brianna's with me. She gets it.
You know it.
But that, you see what we're talking about though there. I mean, validation means yes. Oh, yes, your trauma. Yes, your life does have to suck. Really? I think we need to be human and show empathy and love. And I think our clients will sense that from us. And if they are looking for validation, first of all, they're not going to schedule an appointment with me. Because I am all over YouTube.
Yeah.
And if they don't know what they're in for,
It's
well,
good they find out on the first session.
and they can't afford me anyway if they're in that space, typically. But the clients who know me and know where I'm coming from and understand the principles that are driving all of this, they know that I already think their trauma is neutral. And they're not offended by that. In fact, it empowers them somehow. They want to get to that point. You want to be in that space where, yeah, this is part of my history. And there's awesome things that it has turned on the power for you to do. And there's other things that kind of suck about it. And you're not wrong about any of those things. But what you focus on, you feel. What you think about, you bring about.
Grow the cancer or shrink the cancer
Yeah,
and cut it out.
cut it out. Put down the weight, take home the strength.
Feed the protein. Feed with protein.
And we're coming up with all kinds of trite little phrases. I have not done therapy in 15 years. I'm still licensed. I choose coaching. Because in a good coaching setting, especially in a group coaching setting, your brain will grab whatever you need while you're listening to someone else being coached. Have you seen that? And that's good news from a business model perspective, because guess what? This is scalable.
I am always running models in my head. It's rare for me to really write them down. As you do more and more and more of them, I use it as sort of like a navigation system, but my coaching happens all around it.
Yeah.
And it's more for me, a check-in system with myself to keep me on track with what I'm trying to show my client their brain is doing.